Okay. David, all you.
We're good to go. Hello, everybody.
Right,
How's everyone doing?
we're good.
Give you guys a wave. You guys can take yourself off mute if you have any questions, so feel free to ask along the way. But we're here to talk about HECM. So, what the heck is a HECM mortgage? A home equity conversion mortgage. So, we're gonna in our discussion today, we're gonna go over what's a HECM, what is it compared to like a reverse mortgage. There's a lot of, whenever we talk about this with people, there's frequently asked questions. Everyone asks the same question. So I'm going to go through those frequently asked questions. What are the requirements and the scenarios? Because there's a couple different ways you can use this program. And then we can take any questions. Obviously, you can ask any questions along the way. So just raise your hand. Olivia will let me know, and you can fire away, or you can throw it in the chat, and we'll go from there. So, a home equity conversion mortgage, a HECM. It's a loan designed to help homeowners that are 62 years and older turn some of their home equity into cash or cash flow in some other scenarios. Borrowers can either use the equity to have no mortgage payments, or they can also receive cash out at the same time and do a combination of the two. It's important to know that now that the home equity loan conversion mortgage, it's a federally insured loan. It's based on the equity in your property and the borrower's age and life expectancy. There's a few other miscellaneous factors like income debts that come into play, but not kind of like a regular mortgage. There's different ways to qualify. You need to have significant equity in the property. So that's the main item is you have to have probably at least 50% equity. That's a rough number, but it also depends on the age. So that could come into play as well. You need to stay in the home. It can't be used as an investment loan. You have to live there. And you can use your liquid assets for other investments, which is kind of the whole concept of a home equity conversion mortgage or the making no payments. So here we go. So HECM versus a reverse mortgage, they're essentially the same thing. So there's a reverse mortgage kind of stigma out there. And so we kind of want to use the word HECM instead of reverse mortgage, because whenever we do say reverse mortgage to homeowners and potential borrowers out there, they always start off with negative comments about it. And sometimes there's good reasons for it. 1961 is when the first private reverse mortgage was closed, and it was kind of set up, and it kind of took off from there. But back then, there were no guidelines on it, so lenders could do whatever they want. Prepayment penalties, just anything that they wanted to add in there, they could, and then they have to explain it to the borrowers and go from there. Well, in 1988, President Reagan signed the HECM bill, Home Equity Conversion Mortgage Bill. And what it did is that allowed this program to be insured by FHA. So now that FHA is insuring the HECM loan and mortgage, then it has to be regulated. All the guidelines have to be met. They're super strict with everything, and they're very good on disclosures with borrowers. You can't even apply until you have a consultation with an independent home equity conversion mortgage consultant. And it's literally an hour or two on the phone with them, and they make sure you understand everything. They'll answer all your questions, and what they really want to do is make sure that I'm telling the borrowers the same thing that they're telling the borrowers, so that there's no misunderstanding. Because with this mortgage, it's it's 62 years and older, but a lot of times the borrowers are even older, so in their 80s, or it could even be older. So sometimes they don't quite understand a regular mortgage. And when you throw a home equity loan conversion mortgage in there, it even gets more confusing. So some frequently asked questions: who owns the home? So we get this a lot. Everyone thinks that they're not going to own the home. They're not going to, the home's going to be taken out of their name. Or if something happens with the loan, the house will be taken. It's not the case. If you think about this home equity conversion loan, the HECM, as a regular loan, it's the same thing. So when we do a home HECM loan, then the deed is still in the borrower's name. There's a mortgage that's recorded that gets attached to the deed, and that gets recorded, I should say, attached to the home, just like a regular mortgage does. So in this loan, there's no payments. So there's really no ways you can default on this loan, unless you leave the property. That's really the only way. So that property will stay in your name throughout the life of the loan. If you want to go to sell the property down the road, you can do that. If you want to refinance, you can do that as well. Does it affect Social Security and Medicare? No, it doesn't at all. So we get that a lot, but it may affect Medicaid, um, or depending on what you have for other government benefits, based on the financial situation, that might affect it. So, for example, if you pull, 100,000 cash out, and now you have 100,000 where you didn't have 100,000 before, that might affect some of your government benefits because you have some equity that you didn't have before in sitting in a checking or savings account. Um, so I don't pay a mortgage, and what happens to my balance? So this is the whole key with a HECM loan, with a reverse mortgage. You do this to increase your cash flow, or if you can't afford a mortgage and you need to fix your house up, you're on a fixed income, you'll pull some money out of the house, and maybe you could even get a monthly stipend from a home equity loan mortgage. So the mortgage should actually pay you each month. So depending on how you have it set up, you don't make any payments on that mortgage. So whatever the scenario is, and we'll go through a couple different scenarios, there's no mortgage payments. So instead of making a payment where you pay the principal and interest and your balance will go down, the interest on that mortgage just gets added to your balance. So every month your balance will get a little bit higher based on the interest on the mortgage and based on your balance. And then with this type of loan, we're counting on appreciation to increase the value. So the value of your property will be going up and the balance will be going up. Now, keep in mind, you have to have a lot of equity in this property to start off with. So they've done all the calculations, and based on your age and the equity in the property, you're always going to have, theoretically, a lot of equity in the property. Now, if worst case scenario, people always think, oh, is the government going to take my home? Worst case scenario, if for whatever reason the housing market crashes and the balance of your mortgage is here and the property value drops down below and you want to walk away, you can do that. There's no repercussions on your end. The government takes any losses in that scenario because they're insuring this loan. So if that happens, you can simply just walk away from the loan if you wanted to. So any questions on that? Because that's kind of a big question that people have. All right. Can I still make payments? Yeah, you can still make payments on the loan. If you don't want that balance to increase, you can do that. You may as well take a regular mortgage if you want to do that, but you can still make payments. Why would I take a home equity loan over a conventional mortgage? Well, the whole idea is to free up your cash flow so that in the later years of your life, you may be on a fixed income. You may be retired. You may just have retirement income or maybe a small pension. You may be making, let's say, $3,000 a month, and your taxes are, $800 a month if you're in a big home, or $1,000 a month, and you have your homeowner's insurance, you have other expenses, and if that's tight and you can't afford that to stay in that home, this is a great option for you. So again, most of the people, you have to be over 62. Most are older. They have a lot of equity in the property that's just sitting there, and this is a way to access that equity in the property to alleviate some of those payments. So we'll get into some scenarios where that was exactly the case. Will my heirs have a huge mortgage to pay off? Potentially, they could, right? But they'll also have a lot of equity in the property as well. So one way to look at this is because sometimes the kids might have some pushback because they're saying they might think, oh, if the balance is going higher, I'm not going to have as much down the road when mom or dad passes away because there's not going to be as much equity in the property. Well, that kind of is the case, but it's kind of not the case because if the if the parent or the homeowner is not making that payment, then they're going to have that money to put into their savings account, and the balance is going to be getting higher, but their liquid asset account is going to be getting higher too. So it's almost a wash when you look at the equity and what the assets are going to be for the heirs down the road. Um, Am I stuck with a HECM mortgage forever? Nope. You can refinance it at any point in time. If you want to sell the home, you sell it just like a regular as if you had a regular mortgage. There's no there's nothing that's different from a HECM mortgage compared to a regular mortgage if you want to sell the property. What if my partner passes? You're okay in the property as long as you stay in that property. So if one of the two of you pass away, you're still eligible to stay in that property forever until you pass away. So that's one reason people get this is they have the comfort of staying in their home. A lot of people don't want to go to a nursing home. They'd rather just stay in their home, maybe pay for some private home care. But they really want to stay and, let's say, pass away in their own home. So, do I need to be employed to qualify? So, kind of yes and no. You don't need to be employed, but you do have to have some income to cover at least the taxes and homeowners insurance and some minor upkeep on the property. So, if your taxes are, 8,000 a year and your homeowners insurance is a couple thousand, that's 10,000, then they'd be looking for your pension or Social Security or whatever income you have to cover at least that $10,000 a year. So $1,000 a month would cover that. So it's easy to qualify. We don't pull, we pull credit just to make sure there's no other big ticket items like IRS liens or anything like that that might affect your mortgage. So the credit is pulled, but the credit itself is not really a concern unless there's some weird stuff on there. So what are the requirements? You have to be 62 and older. So if you're married, as long as one of the two spouses is 62, then you're good to go. And if one's 62 and the other is 50, and then you're in there for 2 years and the 62 or 64-year-old now passes away, it doesn't matter. The other person can still stay in that property as long as they live. So as long as they're using it as their primary residence. It is a primary residence mortgage. It can't be an investment property just like FHA. Single family homes, it's not used for multi-family homes. And if you want to buy a condo that's eligible, it just has to meet the FHA guidelines. So it has to be an approved FHA condo, or we can try and get that condo approved with a spot approval. Oh, Olivia just said they don't do that. So if we get the spot approval, the condo has to be FHA approved. The borrower must pay taxes and homeowners insurance. Sometimes you can add that into the mortgage. Most of the time you pay that on your own, but there are some options where you can add that into the mortgage. And if you move out of the property at any time, or you sell, or both borrowers pass away, then that reverse mortgage has to be paid off. So some scenarios. Scenario number one, meet Sarah, 76 years old, owns a home and gets Social Security of $1,800 a month. Primary borrower worth primary property is worth 1.2 million, and she owes 209,000. She has an investment property worth $1 million, owes 340. Some rental income to help boost her income. So she's got total mortgage payments, $5,500, and pockets about $800 a month to live in after all expenses and things. So what we do is when we submit this scenario, we just submit some basic information to our investor. And we have three different investors that do these HECM loans. So we'll kind of compare and see who's offering the best rates at the time. But we submit these, and then they send over a nice detailed explanation and good faith estimate that breaks down the rates, different options, monthly payments, closing costs, and things like that. So we can forward that right over to the borrower to take a look at to make some decisions. So in this scenario, we want to pay off the first mortgage on the primary and give her 400,000 cash out to pay off the second mortgage and have some cash flow left over. So when she pays off that second mortgage, she's going to increase her cash flow there. And again, she's got no payments due because there's no payments due on this mortgage. So she's going to pay off her first mortgage, her second mortgage, or I'm sorry, the second mortgage on her investment property and have no payments. So her cash flow is really going to increase. So she'll pocket about $6,300 a month in this scenario. And again, the loan is going to be the balance is going to be compared to that 1.2 million. That'll increase every month. But again, with the cost of living increase and appreciation, that property is going to be increasing as well. So, theoretically, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road, that property is going to be still well worth a lot more than what the balance of the mortgage is. HECM scenario number 2. Meet Keith, 63 years old, selling his home and purchasing a single family residence. So this is where you guys will come into play on a purchase. So it's pretty easy to understand how you can just refinance an old mortgage, or if you don't have a mortgage, take cash out, stay in your property. But a lot of people are using this scenario, cashing in on their home, let's say up here in New Hampshire, moving to Florida where the properties are a lot cheaper, and then trying to increase their cash flow in Florida so that they have cash to live on throughout the rest of their life. So Keith is selling his home and purchasing a single family residence. He's selling for $1 million. He doesn't owe anything. So he's going to net $1 million on his property. So the new property is $650,000. So he moved to Florida. He's buying a house down there. His options would be to, pay $650,000 in cash, or if he wants, and then live on $350,000. That's what he would have for, let's say, his retirement if everything's in the house. Or what he can do is buy that property. Instead of putting $650,000 down, he can put $400,000 in the property, keep an extra $250,000 as liquid assets, right? And then his loan amount of $250,000 will have no payment on it. So he's got the cash flow of no payments on his property, which he would have if he paid cash, but he has an extra $250,000 to live on the rest of his life. You can also take that extra $250,000 that you have in a mortgage now, because you're going to be paying interest on that, right? But if you take that $250,000 and you invest it, then now in the stock market, people are making 10%. The interest rate on these loans are in the low sixes right now. You could actually make more money on that investment than the interest that would be added to your balance every month. So there's a couple different scenarios here. You can use this if you don't have a lot of income and you need it to maybe put a roof on the house, you want to stay in the home, you want to refinance what you have, stay in the property and increase your cash flow. Or this scenario 2, where either you're going to purchase a home or you may want to just get rid of your mortgage, have a good solid cash flow for the rest of your life and not have to worry about it. And you can invest that money in other items that are making more money than what the interest rate is. So you can, a lot of people who have a lot of money are using this program for extra cash flow. A lot of people who don't have a lot of money are using this program almost because they have to. It's the only option for them if they don't have a lot of income to qualify. So bottom line, home equities they're a cash flow mortgage. They're here to create some liquidity in your income. It's all based off of equity in the property, which is the home equity conversion mortgage, the HECM, the name. And so we're going to try to stop using reverse mortgage because it has a kind of a negative connotations from way back when they were originally set up. But right now they're all regulated. They're really a good program, and all of the home equity loan conversion mortgages that we've done, the borrowers have loved them. There's been no complaints, and once they get it, it's like freeing up all their worries, really. So that's something you need to look at if a borrower is talking about maybe staying in a home or potentially selling it. Those are some options that you have for them. They could stay in and refinance and not have a payment if they're low on cash flow, or you could sell their home, right? And they could downsize, use that money to put half down on the property instead of all of the money down, still not have a payment, and have extra cash to live on. Because one scenario would be like that other home. This is kind of more of the scenario. If you're selling up here, let's say for 600,000, you want to buy in Florida for 500,000, you only have $100,000 left over. So in this scenario, you could potentially have 300,000 left over to live on instead of just 100,000. So depending on how the numbers work out, this would be a great option for everyone. And any questions out there?
Yes, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay. Hi. All right. So I'm thinking in regards to like helping somebody who, so first of all, it's only for 62 and over, correct?
One of the two, if you're married, one of the two has to be 62 or older, correct?
One of the two. Okay, that's good to know. And then, so if you're going to sell your house, okay, and then you want to purchase your house, purchase another house before you sell your house, and say you wanted to be competitive and use cash, would this be, so what's the difference between this and like a HELOC? Because
well, you wouldn't get this mortgage in lieu of a HELOC for your assets to purchase the new property, because this is more of like a cash out refinance. So it'd be like comparing this to a regular mortgage with a cash out refinance, knowing that you're going to sell your home down the road, within a month or 2 or 6 months, and then pay off that new mortgage. So you could still use those cash advantage programs that we have, on the purchase. So you could still work that scenario out and make a cash offer, not subject to the sale of your home, using those services that we were talking about, or that we've talked about. We've done some seminars on those too. So we can go over those again, or we can send some information on that. So it would be no different. So if your home's not sold yet, you have the same issues you have as if it has a regular mortgage on it. Whether it has a regular mortgage or a home equity loan conversion mortgage, you wouldn't use that home equity loan conversion mortgage to get around that scenario.
Okay.
A home equity loan is still the best way to go if you can qualify for both payments.
Okay.
Yeah. But we have some other like bridge loans too that will, pay off your old loan and give you equity on the new foot out of your old home to buy the new property. We have a program with no payments on that bridge loan.
Or you can just use it for the to get rid of the home sale contingency.
Okay. And then also, and I don't know if I asked you this before, I can't remember, but if your property's in a trust, is that not something that would you not qualify?
No, you would qualify. So as long as that, and you'd be good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If it didn't, you could always take it out of a trust, go put it back into your own names, and then do whatever you want with after you finish the financial.
I actually looked into something like that, and because I had a client with an irrevocable trust, and that I don't know if it's easier to do a revocable trust to reverse that, but an irrevocable trust seemed very difficult.
So irrevocable is exactly what it says, right?
Irrevocable.
It's irrevocable. So you can't want anyone trust unless they're absolutely sure. Revocable trust is what you would want them to put it into.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? Well, if you do have questions, or if you think about some after, just shoot Olivia and I an email. Just give us a buzz.
Everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.